about the fact that when the commission voted to set the millage rate a couple of weeks ago, you and your fellow commissioners raised the library millage slightly to kind of bring it back close to what it had been. It's still well below what the library advocates want.
Oh no, we restored the funding back to what was slashed. In fact, John Quick...
Well, they want $64 million. You're not at $64 million.
That's what they want, but that's not what the budget dictated. In fact, I called the library director, Mr. Santiago, up and asked him where they came up with $64 million.
Yeah.
He says, I have no clue. What we need is the restoration. And I've actually gotten a letter from Friends of the Libraries thanking me for the restoration of funding. And of course, my opponent would say, great, we restored funding, but it's not enough. You know what, Michael? We don't have a taxing problem in Miami-Dade County. We have a spending problem in Miami-Dade County. We just can't keep taxing the poor residents of Miami-Dade County. Enough is enough. We restored the funding of the libraries back to what it was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
that should be, that's an achievement.
But Daniella, where do you stand on this? I mean, if you had been on the commission, you certainly, I'm sure, would have voted to raise the millage, but would you have raised it more than it was?
Well, again, we have to look at what other opportunities we have in the budget. The money from the libraries was taken away many years ago by Mayor Jimenez and approved by the commission.
It was taken from the fire budget.
It was, no, that's this year. In the past, the millage was reduced for the libraries, and they used reserves for the last 3 years.
From the fire budget.
And that's why they're, well, this year again from the fire budget, that's why the library is in the shape that it's in, because they spent down all the reserves, they depleted all the programs that were world-class. We were award-winning library system.
Right.
So what's now being proposed brings us to a basic staffing level, but it does not restore those programs. And that's why the Blue Ribbon Task Force, and I served on one of the committees, and the advisory library board requested that additional
Now, this is sad that she's saying that we still don't have world-class libraries because we didn't raise it higher than what it already was 3 years ago. I'm telling you, our libraries are still world-class libraries. We have the best, and the restoration of the funding was correct. And I took my lead from the library director, Robert Santiago, and I'm proud of that. And actually, what we were doing is we were taking the library surplus, not for the fire. We were taking from the fire. We were taking from the library surplus for the fire, and that stopped.
Yeah.
That is completely stopped. So we restored the funding and stopped taking the surplus. But I got to tell you something. My opponent keeps talking about her experience in Calais, Miami for budgeting. How can you say that when your own organization went in the red so many times? Budget holes, budget holes, budget holes.